Yeah, but so far we've seen people that actually... I mean, I guess the biggest question now is, you know, we've seen these people in the alternate timeline, and they're starting to pick up memories from their other life on the island. But if they're picking up these memories, what are they supposed to do with them? I mean, okay, so now Hurley has memories of Libby. I kept thinking that there was going to be something that he was going to suddenly remember, oh my God, she got shot. And then he was going to have to do something about that, like save her in the alternate timeline, because it was going to happen again in the alternate timeline, because they keep... You know, stuff keeps happening in the alternate timeline that parallels what happened on the island. So it makes me wonder. You know, so I kept thinking, well, Libby's going to get shot in the alternate timeline. He's going to have to save her. Like maybe Hurley would take the bullet for her. Because I trust the bullet wouldn't get too far. Never mind. Don't go there. You know, like if that's really all it takes is a brush with death or love to bring back these memories, well... And doesn't it really need to do anything at all? Because eventually it would happen to all of them anyway. Why does it need to happen now? And he must be trying to prevent something, you know, that's gonna happen anyway. I don't know. I mean, I have kind of a crackpot theory myself that's been kind of going around in my head, and this is it. It's gonna sound stupid, but okay, we're assuming here that Desmond hit Locke with the car, either number one because he's trying to kill Man in Black, or number two, because he's trying to get him in touch with Jack. But what if... But what if it turns out that Man in Black is the good guy, and Desmond made a mistake by hitting him? There are no mistakes. There's what you do and what you don't do. No, but, you know, by Desmond hitting, you know, Locke, now he gets him in touch with Jack, and if Jack doesn't save Locke's life, he won't save Man in Black. And because Man in Black is a good guy, the island's entire future is going to hinge on whether or not Jack successfully completes the surgery, which brings us full circle back to the first big story that we were given in the show, which was Jack trying to save the 16-year-old girl. You know, and he had to count to 5 and everything like that. Maybe he'll count to 5 again before he operates on Locke, and then we'll see. Oh my God, what if the show ended like that? What if that's what they did? Oh my God. I can just see it now. Oh my God. That's going to be the last shot of the show, isn't it? Oh man. Oh man. I just got this wrenching feeling in my gut like that's going to be it too. No, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but it's going to be Jack operating on Locke. And at this point in time, we're going to know why and how and that this surgery determines whether or not Man in Black survives on the island. And Jack's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they cut to Lost. End of the series. No, they better not do that. I could see that being the end of the second to last episode, though. Yeah. Now that would be awesome. Because then we get to see whether or not Jack completes the surgery. I mean, you have to assume he's going to complete it. I mean, he is still a miracle worker, is he not? And they were alluding, you know, hinting towards something like that before. Whether or not that's true, who knows, but it could be, you know, that Jack's performing a bigger miracle than he realizes. There's still too much that has to happen, though. Yeah, there's still so much in this alternate timeline, you know, so many other characters that we have to look into. Because Sawyer and Kate, well, nothing really happened with either of them except they ran into each other. So what role are they playing in this? They're not going to the hospital. So how are they going to... Well, wait a second, though. I guess if love causes you to remember things from the island, then Sawyer and Kate would eventually start talking to each other. And Sawyer arrested Kate in recon, we saw that. So I guess it's safe to assume now that because they met in the alternate timeline, they're gonna... Well, it's never safe to assume anything, is why would they, but they might fall in love in the alternate timeline and kiss each other, and then start getting flashes of their island lives, and that's how it'll happen. So Desmond won't have to do anything for them. But what about the rest of the people? What about... You know, I don't want to spoil anything here, but I have heard that Shannon is going to appear again before the show is over. So, is there going to be some kind of thing with her? I don't know. It's crazy because Boone and Shannon just don't play that big enough of a role, I think, to justify having them in this final season, and yet I want them in this final season because they're from season 1, you know, when times were good. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Rose and Bernard in the alternate. I don't know if there really is a story to tell there. I mean, they've already got their love. So what else can you use to make them flash back to their memories on the island? Is there any reason for them to remember any of that? You know, I mean, I guess you'd want Rose to remember what it was like landing on the island. She didn't have cancer if the island took her cancer away. That's worth remembering. But what if she's... Well, I guess that's how Rose would end up in the hospital, though, isn't it? Because she still has her cancer. Maybe she, you know, passes out or something, and ends up at the hospital with Sun and Locke and Jack. So that's 3 of them there. Or that's 4 now that we brought together at the hospital, where stuff can happen. But even still, none of these people are in love with each other. So how are they gonna, you know, flash back to the island? Well, that's why I was saying before that maybe it's not just love that brings you there. It could be other things, like just a regular old bond could bring you there. And there's still Claire too. You know, Claire in the flash sideways, there's still her. Well, she's going to be at the hospital having her kid. Okay, so she'll be there. Yeah. Let's see, who else? There's a lot of characters left. I'm pretty sure I haven't covered all of them. Ana Lucia, was she even on the flight? That's the thing, there were some people that just weren't on the flight. You know, Ana Lucia, I think it's safe to assume she wasn't on it in the alternate timeline. And neither was, you know, because Shannon wasn't there either. So it's entirely possible some characters just weren't there. And so they wouldn't need... Well, would they need? That's the thing, how's Desmond going to get to all those other characters? The only way he would get to them is if he had, like... You know, because they're not going to be on the manifest in the alternate timeline. People like Shannon aren't going to be on the manifest. Ana Lucia wouldn't be if she wasn't on the plane. But are they even going to be important, though? That's the thing. Maybe not. I don't know. But the other thing that we haven't seen yet in the alternate timeline is someone dying. But we have seen, based on Desmond, that coming close to death may be one way to get in touch with the other time. But if people end up in the hospital, it's safe to say they come close to death. You know, Claire with her baby, who knows? I guess Claire's bond with her baby would be enough to bring back flashes of her having the baby on the island. And maybe somehow Kate would remember that too. But what about Jin and Sun? Yeah, Jin would remember that too. Because he and Sun are not in... Well, they are in love, actually. But the weirdest thing is we see Desmond and Penny kiss, and they start remembering the island stuff. We see Hurley and Libby kiss, and they start remembering the island stuff. But Jin and Sun kissed, and they don't seem to be remembering anything, so what's going on there? Is it because they fell in love before they got on the island? So maybe it doesn't apply to them? So maybe that's the same reason that Rose and Bernard aren't remembering, you know, because they were in love before they got on the plane too. It probably has something to do with what happens on the island. You know, if you get in touch with what happened there, then that brings you back to it again, which I would say, you know, if Jack operated on Rose and got rid of her cancer, that might help her remember the island, because the island took away her cancer too. It could be something like that. And the same thing with Claire having her baby. She had her baby on the island, so that'll bring her back to it. Sawyer and Kate, you know, having sex in a cage, that might bring them back. I don't know. Or maybe they'll go out and dig a runway, make a runway. And Sawyer will be like, Kate, you're going to do community service for the next 2 weeks. But guess what, baby? I'm going to be there with you. So don't worry, Puddin'. Enough. So yeah, but it seems like they're bringing these timelines together, but to what end, I have no idea. Like, is one of the timelines going to disappear? Are they going to merge into one? Because even if the timelines do merge into one, you can't have 2 realities at the same time. And the characters can be on the island and be off of the island remembering it at the same time. You can't have, like, 2 of a character. I mean, if you're traveling through time, that's one thing. But these characters aren't traveling through time. They're traveling... Well, they're not traveling at all. There just happens to be 2 of them. There's 2 different possible existences. And somehow... I don't know. It's like, well, do the characters have to choose which one they'd rather live in, and then the majority rules or something? Could that be it? Could it be as simple as that? Because then we'd have to go through and say, okay, who would vote for which reality? So I reckon that's about all for this Lostview for now, as I'm going to talk my ass off, and there's still so much more I could say. There always is, though. I'll probably just go to the fuselage and check some shit out, and I'll probably find a bunch of stuff that I forgot to talk about, and then just be like, dope! Okay, so, next time, take care, y'all.